strategic, experiential and innovation leader, Jordan Waid a jeho prezentace The Future of Events. Good morning, sir. Welcome to stage.
Good morning.
It's great to shake a hand and hold Oscar.
Thank you.
How do you feel to be in Prague?
Oh, it's great. It's great to be back. It's been a while since I've been here, and I love it. Love it. Except I wish I was here next week when it's 24 degrees.
It will be.
Yeah.
It will be after tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
Today's St. George, and it's said
Yeah.
on a St. George, if it's cold, then it's coming to be warm.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yes.
So, enjoy your presentation.
Okay. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're going to start the morning off by talking about the future of events and the different ways that we can kind of get to that future. The first thing that we have to note is that the future is always changing. It's very hard to predict. If you look at the future of events in 2024, a lot of people would say it's all about artificial intelligence. We have all sorts of design tools and communication tools and translation tools with artificial intelligence. And we're seeing that, that all sorts of AI is starting to create its own understanding of the world, and we don't know where that's going to take us. And it's very interesting. However, this is just a trend. There'll be something next year that we're talking about. Because if we look at last year, the future of events in 2023 could have been the metaverse. We're all supposed to be in the metaverse right now. And it's really interesting to understand the future. Sometimes we have to take a step back and see what these trends are and what begins to stick. Because in 2022, it was NFTs, and we were going to have NFTs at all of our events, and we were going to give little tokens out, and people were going to be a part of this NFT community. And going back to 2021, it was all about crypto. People were creating different kinds of currency that you could have for events. And some of these trends are sticking and still growing, and some of them are evolving, and some of them have died. And if we go back to 2020, it was deepfake. And now deepfake is coming back, and we can see that there's writers' strikes, there's actors and actresses that are afraid that their likeness will be stolen and everything. And with the future, what I'm trying to say is that these signals are always changing. Right now it's artificial intelligence, and I can't wait to know what it is next year. And the future is always hit and miss. It just happens. It's always changing. And what our job is to separate the signal from the noise to really understand what the future of events holds. So, what we could say about the future now, it's about reimagining experiential frontiers in the global event matrix. What does that mean? Well, what I've done is I've started to look at different ways we can look at the future, and there's 5 areas that are really kind of coming to fruition. And the first one is the hybrid nexus. And then we have digital reality horizons, eco-revolution in events, and as you can see, hyper-personalisation and digital community building. Let's just take a moment and step into that. The hybrid nexus, this is really interesting. This is where we're getting all of this virtual technology and all of the physical events and actually combining them together in one space. And what this is right now, how it's happening is Fortnite, one of the biggest online games, and Coachella are joining forces, coming together so they can have a 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year Coachella that's always existing. And this is a trend that can be happening into the future with events, so the events never stop. And there's this merger of both physical and virtual. And then we're also seeing the digital reality horizons. And this is already happening. This is where we're starting to blend technology and the physical and the digital. And we're seeing this with different things that pop up on our radar. They're starting to have tour buses. So we could be going through Prague right now on a tour bus, and there could be different things coming up on the windows where we're starting to explain different landmarks and different bits of history and everything. And this is something that's starting to grow into the future. And then, of course, we have the eco-revolution in events. We have all sorts of fantastic materials that are being designed right now that we can use and really make an impact in the sustainable footprint that events have. And then we also have hyper-personalisation. So events are becoming more and more and more personalized. And what's interesting is that they're starting to even look into our minds and our mental states and creating experiences that are reflecting how we're thinking and how we're feeling. So it's not just that we have a personalized name tag or personalized experience, it's starting to go deeper. And these are real trends that are happening right now. And then the final one that I just wanted to touch on before we go further is eco-revolution in events. And what does that mean? Well, we're starting to see this whole notion of community building and everything in events, and where different people are coming together. And like Lego, for example, is really coming together and creating different experiences within the events world. However, I want to talk to you more about the future and how you guys can be the ones that are setting the tone, because it's not up to everybody else. So let's begin and start over. The future of events. I'm going to tell you what it's not about, okay? And the future of events is not about me telling you what the future of events is. For me, the future of events is about you and designing that future through your observations. And the only way that you can do that is to be aware of all the signals that are out there and to be very, very curious and to put these into your memory. And what I like to do is to be able to help people do that. And one of the things I do is I collect signals. I used to be a creative director in the events industry. And since then, I always noticed that I collected different trends, different things that were happening and used them in our work. And we would share it with our clients. And after that, I started to kind of keep collecting all the different signals out there and make it easy for everybody else to digest, to share. And so each week I go through about 1,000 different trends, and every 2 weeks I release them into just 10 different signals for you to look at. And the great thing is it only takes 14 seconds because we don't have any time. We live in the attention economy, and it's very, very difficult for us to focus on things. And so what I believe in is that pattern recognition, which is this whole understanding of how we can see something quickly, put it into our mind, put it into our memory, our short-term memory, and then recall it later. And what this does is it helps us accelerate our own intuition. And then we can capitalize that with our precognitive thinking, where we can keep all of our information that we see and then recall it in the future to use for our events, for the way we conduct things, for when we're on stage even. And we can apply it to our future recall. So like I said, I collect all of these and I package these trends up. I started getting all of these different signals out there that I found that were interesting. And there's tons of them. And they're in innovation, they're in design, they're in events, they're in sustainability, they're in finance, they're in all these things that we don't even normally look at. And throughout the time, I've been collecting these for quite a while now and filtered thousands and thousands of signals and published them in lots of different reports. And I put them up on LinkedIn just to share so everybody can have it for free and really just stay in touch with all the things that are happening that are impacting the events industry. And like I said, it takes 14 seconds. So how does that look like? Well, you'll get this, a PRECOG report, and it's a collection for you to look at all the different things out there. And there's always 10 images, and it's very important because scientifically, through behavior science, we know that when you see an image, it sits in your brain and you can recall it, especially when it is linked with different text. And so the PRECOG report looks like this, and it has a collection of different things. It can be something about algae air purification, which I don't know what I want to do with that. There's something about Finnish Pavilion with their toilets. And then we have something about AI. We were just talking about that, on how they're designing different things and people are playing around with it to do different things with designing catalogs. Then we have brain scans, how we can translate our thoughts instantly. We have genetically modified stem cells. I don't know if I'll use this, but maybe something will happen and there'll be a reason that I'll recall this image, or this one here about electronic skin. And what we're doing is really stretching the neuroplasticity of our brain right now. And we're learning about different things. And we don't know if we'll use them later, but they will inspire us in some way. Here's a mathematical law I know nothing about, but then when I looked into it, I found out it has a lot to do with social media and different signals and trends and patterns that happen in there. And then there's things on copyright and whether or not we can use certain imagery or likenesses. And so this is just an example of how we can examine all of the different futures in 14 seconds, because you can just flick through them really quick, and then you dive into them, and you can click on any of these, and it takes you to the article if you want to read deeper. So what does PRECOG do? PRECOG is short for pattern recognition. It's short for precognitive thinking, and it helps you uncover your blind spots. It opens them up. So really quick, if there is all the knowledge in the world, everything that we can know on this planet and beyond, and we put it all in this circle, and we're feeling very generous, everything we know is probably right about here. Everything we know in the world is, I know how to speak English, I know where Prague is, I live in London, I know that I love the sunny beach, and that's my favorite place to be on holiday. And then there's another thing, if we're feeling very generous in this world of knowledge, it's everything that we know we don't know. I know that I have not been on the moon, I know that I haven't been scuba diving, and I know that I can't speak Spanish very well, okay? And that's this whole world that we live in, of what we know and what we know we don't know. Then there's everything else. And this is the area of all the things we don't even know exist. What we don't know, we don't know. It's very hard to kind of comprehend. And what PRECOG does is it opens up these blind spots. It allows us to see things that we might not normally see and get in our radar so we can use this later, and it helps broaden our knowledge. We have all these different signals. Each one of these are different signals that have different stories. These are different trends, different things that are happening in the world that we can use later when we start to do this. And it not only increases our knowledge, it increases our future thinking. So there's this lovely quote from a book called Atomic Habits, where it talks about the human brain as a prediction machine. It's continuously taking in the surroundings and analyzing information. And that's what all of you are doing right now. You're a futurist for the day. And what PRECOG does is that it feeds your prediction machine because it needs to be fed with all the different various patterns and signals and curiosities out there. And it's all up to you. And so we have all these things of what we don't know. And we have all this noise that's out there. And what we try to do is look at all the signals and see how we can begin to filter it and understand it deeper. And once we do this, it helps us design our own futures. We don't have to let the future happen to us. We can take control of it and we can live into it. And we do this through experiential frontiers. We do this through processes where we look at the future, we welcome the future, and we discover it, and you start to see it, and you explore your blind spots. And you can really kind of start to do prediction design and look at the matrices and create your own future that way. And I'm just going to show you a little bit of how we can do that and how we can explore the future right now, because there's different ways. And now we have this whole thing about AI. We used to do this through workshops with human beings. And then there's times where we don't have enough time, and this is where AI can be very, very, very helpful. And so we asked PRECOG AI, we talked to PRECOG AI about the future, and it's interesting because a lot of us feel that it's human versus AI, but it's not that. And it's not human or AI. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It's human plus AI because it's a tool that we use to work together. So the future is really interesting. It can happen by accident or by design. I don't want to let the future happen to me by accident. I want to help design it. And that's what all of you are doing. That's why you're all here right now. And so let's choose design. So what I'm going to do is just kind of run through an experiment. And we can create the new opportunities for a better future and just see what that's like. Because now we have all these different signals and all these different trends. And so let's look at 2034, 10 years from now. We started today by looking 5 years into the past of the different trends that were happening. We looked at 5 years into the future with some of the different signals, but now let's go into 10 years. And to do this, we asked PRECOG AI. Now, PRECOG AI is based on OpenAI, ChatGPT. It's primed and prompted as a futurist AI think bot. It looks at all the PRECOG reports. It looks at all the signals that are out there. It's a really nice little futurist bot, so to speak. And it talks to us. And so we asked it, could you please look at the future of events and take the PRECOG report that we looked at and randomly pick 3 different trends and tell us what we can do with those. And so it did pick 3. It picked that one I showed you about, an algae air purification machine. Raise your hand if you remember seeing the algae air purification machine. Does anybody remember seeing that? The green algae tubes? Yeah. You guys remembered that, and that's what's great. That's a signal that you remembered. And then you remember that thing with the electronic skin. I don't even know what that's about, but that's there. And then also that weird mathematical law, which I have no idea what it means. Well, that's what it chose. And it chose these 3. And what we do is we start to ask the AI, could you simplify it for us? Could you take these 3 trends and create a future? Because if I asked you to create the future of events in 2034, we would all come at it with what we think the future of events. Well, it's more people, it's more social, it's more digital, it's more this, but we don't broaden our horizons. And so when we asked PRECOG AI, we asked for it to come up with a title of this future, and it came up with Eco-Fusion, the next evolution of events. Now, to predict that future, it's taken 3 different trends that we would not necessarily associate with events. We wouldn't associate algae air purification machines, electronic skin, or Binford's mathematic law. But what we do is this allows us to create something different, something new. And now it's starting to look at a future, one of many futures that we can generate, called harmonizing nature, enhancing experiences, empowering integrity. Well, this is really interesting. I want to know more. And so we start to look at it, and it talks about how this eco-fusion in 2034 transforms events into symbiotic gatherings like we are right now. And it has these algae air purification machines and electric skin technology and Binford's law to create this immersive experience that prioritizes sustainability, which is what we want in this climate change that's going on, and well-being, which is very important for all of us, and then ethical practices. And it starts to create this, and we create these future posters based on this with all the different trends that are out there. But what's interesting is when it goes deeper, we talked to it, and it said in 2034, events have evolved into these immersive experiences that not only entertain, but are also contributing positively to the environment and human well-being. That is a fantastic future for us to live into. These symbiotic gatherings redefine the purpose of events, not just moments of celebration or learning, which we're doing here, but as a catalyst for positive change. So to make an impact in the world, where individuals come together to nourish their minds, which we're doing here, and our bodies and the planet. And it went deeper, and it started to talk more about how we can look at venue design, incorporating these algae-based air purification system, ensuring that attendees breathe clean air while minimizing the event's carbon footprint. That's fantastic. And then attendees equipped with this electric skin technology. That sounds very scary, but who knows? In 10 years' time, maybe it's something we all have. It's really interesting. Can not only feel the energy of the event, but also receive real-time feedback on environmental conditions and empowering them to make informed decisions about their own well-being so we can start to use technology that way. And then the final one, this mysterious mathematical law, Binford's law, event organizers uphold transparency and integrity, fostering trust and accountability within the community, because this allows us to really see the different analytics and the different way that the event moves and how we are in this event ecosystem. So it's really fun to play with the future and all these different signals that we never thought of before. And PRECOG AI was very proud of itself because it really wants to make sure that we live into these futures, that we create these futures, because it's very important. It's up to us to do this, to not let everything happen by accident. And the future is here. And you guys are part of this right now, and you're absorbing all these signals. Even in this early morning where we haven't had enough coffees, you've already gotten a lot more information. And the future is here. Are you ready? And I say, yes, you are. Because in the last under 25 minutes, you didn't even know it, but you were exposed to 85 different signals, different trends, different things that are happening out there. And you might not know when or where or how or why, but some of them will come up and you'll be thinking about them in different forms and different fashions. So you've increased your knowledge, your intuition, how we see things, your pattern recognition, all of this for future recall. And that's why the future of events isn't me telling you what it is. It's about all of us working together and collaborating and designing, because the future doesn't stop, and nor do we. So remember 3 things. Remember 1, discover the signals. Always be looking at all the different trends, all the different, especially things that do not relate to your industry. That's where the exciting stuff really happens. That's when you see something new, some innovation, where you're just like, wow, what was that? Where did that come from? That can come from you. Explore all the possibilities. Take different ones and put them together and see what happens. And then finally, take charge and design the future. And that's the future events. And I want to thank you all. And any questions? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Perfect, you are absolutely right on time.
Okay.
Now is a time for your question. Teď je možnost, promiňte, teď je možnost vaše otázky. V aplikaci Eventy ještě žádná otázka není, to znamená, že vám nabízím možnost nějakou otázku položit živě teď. Dobré ráno, pokud byste chtěli položit česky, tak já si potom pokusím přeložit aspoň stejně tak dobře jako umělá inteligence.
Hello, good morning. Well, I would love to ask you, where would you see Event Fest, this event in 2025? Like, what trend or what signal would you love to incorporate in this event? Thank you.
Well, I love all of them. I mean, I really love the 2025. See, that's the difficult thing about next year. We're already working towards it. But I would say that, just on how we get more and more sustainable practices and everything, I think is something that already happening, and to be able to push that more. And then the well-being, I think, is really good. And I can see all of this happening now. And so it's just building on that. And then I think the exciting thing is to happen is to say, what does it look like 10 years from now? And then to get together and say, let's design those futures and see how we can start to live towards them. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Máme ještě nějakou další otázku? Máme ještě pořád 3 minuty na to, abychom se kladli otázky? So I have my question. You are speaking about 234 as a bright future. Is there something you are afraid about?
Is there something
you are afraid about in 10 years?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay,
There is.
Can you be more specific?
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. Yeah, I mean, I like to approach everything positively. I do think that I'm not scared of AI, but at the same time, one of the trends that I saw that I did not like is that hackers are using AI, which can be very scary because it can get even scarier because AI is so good at getting into malware and everything. So there are lots of dark futures, and it's really good to explore those because it allows us to prepare for a positive future. In 2019, if I had told everyone, we're going to have a global pandemic, everyone's going to wear masks, and you're going to have to stay at home, everybody would say, that's crazy. That's never, ever, ever going to happen. However, it did. And if we can prepare for things, and there were futurists out there that did run scenarios on that very situation, and the people that went through those scenarios said it was much easier because they were already prepared. So we can prepare for anything and be ready for it. And I think it's a very good question as well.
Thank you very much. Ještě nějaká otázka, dáme pánové? Není. Thank you very much, Jordan. Have a nice day.
Thank you.